Hey everyone, old school Pokemon here, back again with episode number 22, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. Dan, you actually noticed something pretty cool about this podcast episode, so I'll let you go ahead and explain that right off the bat here.
Yeah, so when I was uploading episode 21, I happened to notice that it was the end of 2021 and it was our last podcast for the year. So this is episode 22 you're watching now, the first of 2022. Just a neat little thing I noticed with the timing of our podcast. Seems like we launched it at the perfect time. That's how good we are at planning for this. So going strong, looking forward to the big number 26 coming up. As long as we haven't missed any weeks, that should be our anniversary, right? I mean, every other week, 52 in a year. So
that'll be fun. Our one year anniversary coming up.
Looking forward to it. But yeah, for tonight, we've got a lot of them, so we'll hop right into the questions. My first question comes from Michael K. Paraphrasing immensely, but he was basically asking about how the PSA Lottery worked for the $50 tier. Basically, on Instagram, they announced like kind of a very short notice. I think they announced it that morning that within a couple hours there was like a countdown timer and a website that you went into to queue up for the slots, and it was a little buggy, little glitchy. It was their first pass at it, but follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, maybe all their socials if you want to try and get into the lotteries. They did mention it would be like a recurring thing throughout the year. So that's pretty much it. Watch their socials, and when they post the link, queue up and see if you get lucky and get a few slots. The last one, Nick and I both got 5 at $50 a card.
I don't know, did you hear anyone who got more than 5?
Nope. Everyone I heard was 5. So I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, just fair, even amount across the board.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to do it for sure. But yeah, hopefully they're able to work out those glitches, because I was pissed at the beginning when we initially got into the queue, and then yours timed out first. I got all the way down to like below 100, and then it said all the slots were full.
And I think, I mean, it was a new feature, right?
Yeah.
I think give them, I'm hard on PSA with a lot of things, but giving them a pass for that little technical glitch. A couple hours later, they like reran it, and then we both requeued and we got them. So
yeah,
I think it'll be something that they do, whether they do it again at the 50 a couple more times, or once they get $50 open to the public, if they get there this year, perhaps they'll be lotterying $40 or $30 ones. So
that's something. It sounds like that's what they want to start doing.
Yeah,
they had some Facebook post that I saw saying that they wanted to start offering the lower tiers at some point in 2022. And then one quick note on that, I sent in my $50 tier cards and my $100 tier cards. I want to say I sent them in maybe a week or two ago, and they're actually already registered in the system, which I thought was pretty good. I was happy by that.
I just got the notification email the other day saying to like check your order.
Yeah.
They were entered into the system, and they wanted you to like just check it and make sure it was all good.
Yep. I'll be curious to know when those, especially the $100 tier cards, come back. I'm hoping to get those back by Collecticon for Orlando, which is the end of February, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I think they like promised, whatever that means, 90 days. And I forget if it was in our last podcast or if it was in one of my other videos, but someone in my comments did mention that I misspoke and I said they promised 3 months, but 90 days is not 3 months, assuming it's 90 business days.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 4.5 months.
Yeah.
So Yeah, could be closer to June if they really use up their whole 90 business days. It'll be interesting to see though how they. Hopefully they go with like first in, first out. I wasn't really speedy at getting mine out. I took like a week, I think, from when the lottery happened. So I could be towards the tail end of that. It's hard to say.
Yeah. And not to drag this question out, but business days are Monday through Friday for people who aren't aware of that. I had one person on eBay. I got my next segment of worst eBay buyers coming up. I had someone message me the other day. He bought something, I don't know the exact dates, but he bought something on Friday. He messaged me on Tuesday afternoon saying, I haven't received my item yet. So I messaged him back and said, I shipped it out Friday afternoon. It's going to take between 3 to 5 business days. You should receive it later this week. And he responded back to me saying, it hasn't, or I said it's only been 2 business days or something like that. And he responded back to me saying, it hasn't been 2 days. It's been 4 days because of the weekend. Yeah. I so badly wanted to message him back saying, weekends don't count.
I had somebody, it was international because they use, like in America, we use the month, day, year format because they put like 8.1.2022. So they bought it on Saturday and they messaged me on Sunday with a screenshot of their payment having cleared on the 8th, a Saturday. And they're like, eBay is showing me you haven't shipped my item. When are you going to ship it? And I just replied, like, within 2 business days, as my listing says, it's currently been 0 business days or something like that. So he said, I'll have it out. And I ship Mondays. So it's like, I'm going to ship it essentially same day because, I mean, Saturday I'm closed. Monday, first day I'm open, shipping it right out. So, yeah eBay is fun sometimes.
Exactly. So my next question comes from Based Blue Boy. Are you guys excited for the hype train? And I'm also going to add, aka PokeNav, leaving the hobby. So I am excited about that. It was a fun time back in 2020 as a seller, not so much as a buyer, because it was impossible to get modern product unless you were paying the high prices. And vintage stuff, WOTC stuff, was very expensive, so even that was tough to get. But now that stuff is cooling back down, pricing's kind of cooling back down overall, be able to pick some more stuff up for the collection. Sales are actually still consistent, even though we're seeing lower prices. So overall, I'm really happy about that. I'm super excited for Brilliant Stars. This will be the first modern set in a long time that I'll actually be able to justify opening all of the packs and selling the cards as singles versus selling everything as sealed product, because the previous sets, there was no point in selling singles. You could have made so much more money just selling the booster boxes, and it was a lot more easy than breaking everything down. But now we're finally getting back to a point where selling the booster boxes isn't really worthwhile. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's generally a good thing. I mean, the margins last year were nice to just be able to to move modern. The cash flow from that was nice, but it wasn't sustainable and it wasn't healthy. I think it's good that people aren't fighting over the retail product in the stores now, and it's nice to be able to have a distributor have some amount of inventory that I can just, even though it's at a higher price than I can buy on eBay. It's nice that they have something in stock there. We're still doing the whole allocation things for the next set, but I think by the end of 2022 we'll be I wouldn't say completely back to normal, but we'll be further along. Like we're getting there. We're getting there to where a year or two worth of sets are available at your distributors for that roughly $80 price point.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Which I won't. I do have a reply to that, but I won't comment until the next question because the next question will lead in good with that. I just noticed that
they did tie in well. So the next question comes from Carson's Collectibles, and this one was really good. I mean, I like all the questions we get, but this one really stood out. Question for the podcast: what is better for the hobby in your opinion? Booster boxes being over $150 shortly after release, or below $100 shortly after release? You have to pick one of the two. No easy answers. What made it such a good question is because I would have honestly said somewhere in between. I would have taken the easy way out. But if I had to pick one, I think slightly below 100, but I'm talking like 99.99. 99.99, there's a little bit of margin in there. If you're paying 80, there's not much, but there's a little bit. I guess it's only like a few dollars, but if they're selling for 99.99 on eBay, the bigger guys that are getting it for 75, I mean, they're making a little bit of margin. And then like the LGSs that are going to charge 100 to 110, there's a little bit of margin there. 150 is kind of a lot. My sweet spot would be more MSRP is like 144 or whatever. So MSRP is near that 150, but I just think that's too high. I think at that number, I don't know. It's maybe I'm as I'm talking through it, I'm convincing myself maybe 150 is better, but
Mr. Scrooge.
Yeah, I think 99 is better. Just at that point, nobody's going to be going and clearing out the Walmart and Target shelves. Everyone's going to be able to access it at a reasonable and kind of the historical average price. I mean, I've been in the hobby for 7 going on 8 years now, back into the hobby, and 99.99, even all the way down to like 89.99 is where boxes generally are out of the gates when people can just buy them at all times from the distributors. And so I think the 99.99 is healthier, but not 79.99 on eBay. Like right now, I think Chilling Reign and Battle Styles are like too cheap to where it's not unhealthy. It's not healthy, but it's a fine line to like dance. I think like, I don't remotely know how Pokemon, I mean, everything's got to be done months out to get the space with the printers and all that, and how you manage all that in the middle of a pandemic. It's surely got to be a tough task. There's my long-winded answer. What do you think?
So I think below 100 is where modern boxes need to be. As nice as it was as a seller, being able to resell booster boxes right out of the gate and make a decent profit on them, I don't think that's healthy for the hobby long term, because then you have the issue of scalping, people going to Walmart's, Targets, clearing out the shelves. And in my opinion, I don't believe modern should be, I don't want to say everything in modern, but for the most part, modern shouldn't be investable. Modern should be fun. Modern should be for the kids who are just getting into the hobby, to enjoy opening those packs, building those sets, playing with the cards, and even people our age, to just enjoy the hobby, be able to open cheap product, build sets, play with the cards, do whatever. So I am really happy that modern products, pricing starting to go down on that type of stuff. Plus, like I said with the last question, I do really enjoy opening the packs and selling singles, so I cannot wait to get back to that type of business model. Whereas before it was just get these boxes in, don't even know what kind of cards are in them, and sell the boxes. So yeah, I'm excited about that, and I think overall that's a good thing for the hobby. to have those kind of cheap booster boxes, get rid of all these scalpers and modern investment channels and all that type of stuff. Get back to the good old days post 2020. That's what I'd have to say about that one.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I was starting to get hung up on as I talked through it is like a $3.99 pack at your Walmart or your Target. That is like $144. So that is really close to the $150. And I think that's how a large portion of product gets sold. Is like Walmart doesn't sell booster boxes. Target doesn't sell booster boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the right answer is somewhere in that range that we weren't allowed to say. So I went with the 100, but honestly, if I had 120 or something, so that a store can actually make a decent little margin. Actually, because I can't sell an individual box online for $99.99. I'm paying $86.50 right now.
Yeah.
$100 sale, that's a $12-13 eBay fee, and then shipping is like $8 to $12 depending on where it goes. And yeah, I mean, that's in the negatives.
You don't use flat rate envelopes?
I don't ship booster boxes. I don't sell for
Oh,
a little while. That by the case, like if they're going for $99.99, the cases aren't going to be going for $600 though. They're probably going for more like $520 to $540. Like people are discounting it further if you're buying. So yeah, I since we're back there now, I'm going to get to where like years ago, I was buying a couple cases of every set and just setting them back. And then thankfully I had them all. I had a couple cases of every set from most sets from XY to current when 2020 happened, and I did well. I don't think that's going to happen again, nowhere near to that magnitude, but 5-10 years from now, if I've got 5 to 10 cases of every set and they slowly drift up 150, 200, whatever, that'll be reasonable to me.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I do think I've been doing the same thing, setting some boxes aside to just hold on to for the long term. I do think that's still a good strategy. I can't see it being as good as when you did it with 2020, but I do think long term most sets will increase. Battle styles, not so sure about that one.
Yeah, I was able to get Battle Styles and Chilling Reign, like 4 cases of each approximately, for around 75, a little under 75 a box, like after rebates and incentives, which to me, it's certainly not a floor price. Like I'm not saying it can never go under that. It can absolutely go under that, but it's pretty unlikely, and I feel pretty safe at that price, given that my distributor pricing is more than $10 a piece.
More than that.
Yeah.
That'll be another interesting thing, is whether or not distributors go back, decrease their pricing back to where they were. Because for those of you who don't know, one of the distributors that Dan and I work with increased their pricing from low 80s to $86.50 a box during the 2020 mania. But there's also other distributors that were kept at that same low 80 price point. Like my other distributor, they never increased their prices. There's remained consistent at that low 80 price point. So it'll be interesting to see whether this other distributor actually goes back and lowers pricing when the hype kind of dies down. That'll be, I would think they'd have to.
They will.
It'll be interesting to see.
They will, because if other distributors are, they'll just be sitting on pallets of product and not moving it. And distributors are all about distributing. They've got to move the product for sure.
Yeah. But that was a good question. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
So my next question comes from Eric S. And he asks, do you think there is even the least bit potential that PSA loses clout when CDC pop reports come out? Some purist mindset where PSA is too easy is the common sentiment? Or do you think they will just sit in a weird middle ground where definite 10s go to BGS for the black label and anything else goes to PSA for the easier grade? So my answer to this question would have been different if you asked me back like a year ago or whenever. Yeah, it's been about a year. My answer would have been different back a year ago than it is today. I personally, similar to Dan, I'm not a big fan of CGC anymore. As a buyer, as a collector, I really, really like CGC. Love everything about them as a collector. But as a seller, CGC prices are just so much lower than PSA prices. It's especially now that they raised their prices to 15 or so a card, and then subgrades being another 6 or 7 a card. It's almost not becoming worthwhile to send to CGC. Combine that with the fact that PSA is starting to lower their prices. I'm going to start sending more and more cards to PSA and fewer cards to CGC. So I don't think that CGC introducing their prop report will have much of an effect on people sending more cards to CGC or more. I guess more cards to CGC. I think it's going to be just more of the same. PSA is always going to remain number 1. BGS and CGC are going to be number 2 and number 3.
Yeah, I agree. Their prices are going to have to come down too. Like if and when PSA gets back down to $10 card grading, CGC is going to almost certainly have to be a discount to that. As a collector, I do strongly prefer the slabs and the labels of CGC, and I like getting the subgrades. I like the idea of knowing why and where the card has defects or demerits to the grade. But the market wants 10s.
Mm-hmm.
PSA per gemrate.com. I follow them on Instagram and they do like a daily update. PSA puts out 43% of the cards they're grading get the 10 grade. When the CGC pop report comes out, I'm not even talking CGC 10s because those almost don't exist. But the equivalent grade by name, Gem Mint 9.5, nowhere near 43%. I mean, it might be 14% or something. I'll be really interested to see where the bell curve lands. I've got a lot, like once the pop report comes out, once you can pull up a certain promo, I'm going to do a lot of dives into that data and compare it with PSAs, but I don't think people care. Like, I guess the framing of this question is like, will people think PSA grades too easy? No. People want 10s. Like when people submit their cards, people want to get weak 10s. When people buy from you, when people buy 10s from me, they want like black labels. But like when people send out a submission, they just want everyone to be a 10. And when you send them to PSA, 43% of them are. Yep. So that's what the market wants. I mean, if I was the CEO, I might tell him to push that up to 50.
Someone I never looked into this, but someone on E4 commented on some, I don't even remember which thread, but saying that they heard CGC was going to introduce a pop report by like March, they said. I think February or March. Did you hear anything about that?
I heard before the end of February, I believe.
That'd be nice.
Maybe it was end of Q1, which would be end of March, but somewhere in there it's supposed to be. Yeah. They did recently come out with that Instagram post. They graded 1 million cards now, just the other day.
I saw that, yeah.
I haven't fully digested that. I don't remember the exact day they started, but I'll investigate into that a little bit further at some point, I think. But once we get the pop report, people will pull that data daily, and you'll see exactly how much they're grading every day.
I know they started it was like June of 20 is when they started.
So it's like 18 months. But I'm sure like they didn't grade the same monthly rate over that 18-month period.
Oh no, definitely.
I would imagine month 18 they probably graded, like they didn't grade 50, whatever it would be, 55,000 cards a month. The last month they probably graded substantially more than the first month.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where that is compared to PSA, I mean PSA is closer to 800,000 a month. So it'll be interesting to see where exactly they are.
That will be.
So my next question comes from Maria C. I know you're not a big Japanese fan, but what do you think of the investment aspect of Top Sun, Vending, Cardass, Sealdass, and Zukan cards? Unfortunately, I don't know much about any of them. I want to learn more, and I'd like to build a little bit of a collection of each just because I love everything Pokemon, but I've been overwhelmed with just like trying to get the business aspect of this going. So I've put stuff like that way on the back burner. And then the way that it was asked to, like, I'm going to do a video at some point. I just don't like to use the word invest when it comes to Pokemon. I like the word speculate a lot more. I won't go on here for the sake of the fact that we have 8 questions each to hit, but I will do a video at some point that elaborates more on why personally I deem these more as, well, a lot of it's inventory to me. It's a business inventory, but certain cards I speculate in. I don't invest in them and it's some of it's semantics, but I think it's an important distinction, at least for me. So any insight on any of that Japanese stuff?
Yeah, so I know I've actually never heard of the Zukan cards. Hate to say it.
I've heard of them, but I couldn't tell you. I'm least familiar with that out of all of them.
Yeah. The other ones I've heard of, Top Sun, I do not see the appeal of Top Sun. I never really liked those cards myself. I don't think the artwork's very good on them. It's just kind of basic. So I never saw the appeal of those cards. Cardass, I think it's really cool artwork. But again, I don't see that really becoming a thing in terms of investing. I think it's cool as a collector, but I wouldn't buy a ton of those cards to sit on. Vending, though, that's the one where I think that one has potential because they're actual Pokemon cards. The artwork on them is absolutely fantastic, and they're getting tougher to find. You used to be able to find they come in sheets of 4, and you could find cases of 100 of those sheets all over eBay all the time.
Yeah.
And nowadays you really can't find that type of stuff as frequently as you could before. So I think out of that list, I think Vending series has the best potential. And I just love those cards as a collector myself. I think the artwork on them is fantastic. And I think they're small sets too, which really helps if you have a bunch of them in mint condition to grade. Where they're smaller sets, people collect the whole set as a graded set, which I think that really helps. Or if you're building binders, they're like the perfect binder sets because Series 1 is 36 cards, which is perfect for a 9-pocket binder. Series 2 is the same thing, and then Series 3, I think, is 54. Which it might be. It's something like that. So they're like the ideal binder sets because they fill up every single slot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would say for that one. So I gotta scroll down here and find my question. My next question is from Neusser PXE. He asked, as many people in the stock market say, they will buy when the market dips, but never never does when it occurs. Do you guys believe that the people holding onto piles of cards to be graded with PSA won't go through with it once the grading fees lower due to a potential decline in the overall market / PSA values? I'm wondering what happened after the Pokemon Go bubble in terms of submissions, and if people decided to not go through with grading thereafter, as well as your experience around that period. I honestly, all the years just blend together for me. I don't recall what happened after the Pokemon Go hype died down. But then again, back then, grading was so different than it is today. You had PSA running quarterly specials. You could send cards off as bulk and be getting them back in 2 to 3 months. So it really, I don't know if it's a good comparison from today as back then, because it was just such a different time. Not as many people were grading. There weren't as many graded cards out there. But to answer the first part of the question, where will people send as much as they have to PSA to get graded with the way pricing has been going? I think it just depends on what PSA charges to get cards graded, as well as what kind of floor we see for pricing on these types of cards. If we see PSA lower their pricing back down to $10 a card, run quarterly specials for $7.50 again, and then like PSA 9 WOTC bulk cards are selling for like $10-15. PSA 10s are selling for $30-40, similar to how we had it back then. I think it's still worthwhile to send those types of cards in. But if we have grading costing $20, PSA 9s are selling for $15 to $20, PSA 10s are $30 to $40, then I don't think it's worth to grade those types of cards. So it just depends on where PSA pricing ends up, as well as where the market for these cards ends up as well. I know personally, I had a whole bunch of unlimited WOTC cards, all minty condition, that I was going to send off to PSA, or that I was just holding on to send off to PSA whenever they kind of reopened their bulk tier. I've since just added those cards into my individual, like, loose card inventory, and I'm just selling them off as single cards at this point, just to kind of clear out some inventory, recoup some money on them a little bit. But the first edition WOTC bulk cards, Shadowless, that stuff I'm still holding on to. I think I probably will submit a good portion of those cards into PSA whenever they reopen a more reasonable option. But it'll definitely be something where I'm not just submitting thousands of cards without really looking at them like we were doing in 2020. It'll definitely be more of a time-consuming process where I look over each individual card, say, okay, this one has a good shot at a 10. Let me submit this one. This one is probably going to be a 9. Maybe I'll hold off on submitting this one, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so the way the question is asked, I fully get like the psychology of the way people truly like to buy high and sell low. Like people are more prone to buy a card that's doubled because in their mind they see that chart and they assume it's just going to continue. I'm going to buy it here and sell it up here. And then when it's headed down, like, people get afraid that it's going to keep going down. So they, like, when the price is half what it used to be, they don't see it as, well, I can get 2 for 1 now. They see it as, I don't want to buy this because it's going to go in half again. But I think the way, like, the next 12 to 36 months is going to go, especially, and I've said this so many times, especially if PSA really gets to the 20 million cards per year. They're hanging out more at like the 8 to 10 million cards per year pace in the recent few months. But if they do slowly get there as they work through the backlog, as they do these lottery tiers at 50, and then they open to the public at 50 and do the lottery tiers at 30, a lot of that will slowly bleed in Because if somebody says they have 10,000 cards to submit at $10 a card, which is probably something I've said, maybe even more than 10,000, some amount of those will go at 50, some amount will go at 40, 30, 20, 15. And then by the time we get to 10, if they're doing the 20 million a year, the prices will be down on a lot of things. So that 10 that I had ready to go, 1,000 to 2,000 might have gone out by the time it got down to 20. And then if they do 15, another 1,000 might go out. Well, if they're doing 20 million cards a year, 5,000 of those cards might not be worth grading anymore because the prices might have really come down. That's where I think I've had like kind of a slightly pessimistic outlook on certain things, just because I had a video on my channel a month or so ago, kind of a highlight of our little Patreon, the Patreon presentation I did on the PSA backlog, and we're grading a lot of cards right now. And I'm just not sure the market will really bear 20 million cards a year from PSA alone, plus CGC, plus BGS, plus ACE, plus HGA, all these, and some of those will go away, but that's a lot of plastic. People talk about certain things being not environmentally friendly. This hobby's not very environmentally friendly.
I forget who, it might have been you even. I don't know if it was you. I was talking to someone about the amount of waste. It
was probably me when Celebrations came out.
Yeah, I think that's what it was when we were opening Celebrations packs.
Like I've got like my recycling bin is like a 45-gallon, pretty decent sized, and I had that thing full just to break down a few hundred packs worth of Celebrations. And then, I mean, a million of these things exist now. I mean, stack all that up. What's that? How many Olympic swimming pools? Or it probably wouldn't fill one, but that's a lot of plastic still. That's a decent amount of plastic, and the card savers and the penny sleeves that they go in, and all the packaging they come back in, and
yeah,
it's a lot, but they look cool and they're nice. And
oh yeah.
So that one was yours, right?
I think so.
So my next one comes from Eric S. In 2019, Pokemon ran a poll which looked to find the most popular Pokemon, and Greninja won by a landslide. On top of that, he's in Smash Brothers, and he has an extremely popular shiny. I don't think I have one. Oh, yeah, I do. There's always one within reach. I love the Gold Star Greninja. What I'm getting at is that I feel like there are a lot of signs out there that Greninja is the next generation's Charizard, to the extent that even people not interested in Pokemon like him and may collect him once they get to the age where they have disposable income. Additionally, Zoroark came in second, and he coincidentally has alt art / tag team cards with Greninja. What do you guys think? My son is into Pokemon a bit, and I have a niece who's into it a decent bit, and I've just heard like anecdotes from other people. Kids are still hyped to pull Charizard. Like, Charizard is passing down through the generations. For whatever reason, that big fire lizard, he really just, he does it. That said, Greninja's really popular. I don't ever see like Greninja knocking him off. I think he's really, really popular, but I could see Greninja cards doing well, but you see what Pokemon's doing with all the sets. How many Charizard cards are being printed every year? Greninja's getting some love for sure. The Gold Star and, like you mentioned, the alt art tag teams, things like that, but not like Charizard. I mean, Pokemon's really riding that hype wave, and I think it's going to continue. 50th anniversary, 100th anniversary if I make it. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, you took what I was gonna say. We'll just move on to the next question. No, I thought I got something really good for that question. I was gonna say about Charizard being in all the modern sets, or a lot of the modern sets. There's a reason why Pokemon is putting Charizard in all of these modern sets. I don't think Charizard's ever going to lose out to any other Pokemon. I think he's always going to remain the number one Pokemon, and the one that the majority of people are most excited to pull out of booster packs. But I pretty much agree with you.
I actually saw a thing. Like I have no idea the data, how big the sample pool was for that thing with Greninja. But like I remember seeing something, I just pulled it up quick on Reddit a couple years ago. Charizard was number one there. So I question a little bit how good of how uniform or how representative of a sample was that. I like Greninja a lot, but I don't know if I fully buy that he's actually the most popular Pokemon by that much of a landslide. Like, did they skew their pool to like really young people? Did they skew it to just people from some certain region that had some disposition to like Greninja for whatever reason? Was the poll conducted right when some big Greninja card came out and people just like recency bias, whatever? I don't know, but
it was people who had frogs as a pet.
probably, yeah. So very, very, I question their I don't think it was like an unbiased pool of people they pulled.
So my next question comes from Dosido, and he asks, do either of you guys plan on doing a PSA submission service when they open bulk back up? I feel like you guys could do pretty well during the first wave of hype. I don't disagree. I think PSA middlemen, or just grading middlemen in general, could do very, very well, especially right after PSA reopens their bulk tier. I think there's definitely a lot of money to be made there, but I would absolutely never do that. And that is just because the filling out PSA, the submission forms and mailing cards off to PSA is such a boring, tedious process. I could never ever do that all day, every single day. I can't. I sent in 25 cards under the $100 tier myself, and even just doing those 25 cards by myself, having to enter those cards into the little description line and find the right description to enter, it was such a pain in the butt. So I do not enjoy that process whatsoever, and it would be absolute torture for me to be doing that as an actual job. Because if you want to do it right and grow a middleman type of business, it's really something that could easily turn into a full-time job. With the number of cards that you're getting in on a daily and weekly and monthly basis. So that is not for me. I'll let Dan corner the market on that.
I don't want it. No, I'm very much on the same page. It's one of my, like, I love my new job. I quit my job to do this and I love it. That's one of my least favorite parts of it. I'm perfectly fine doing it for my own stuff though, as of right now. But like, if Ludkins or this Polaris, or I don't know how James did what he did. I don't think he's coming back to like continue graded gem, but I'm very likely to utilize a middleman again if and when we get back there. It's just not something I enjoy, and I don't want to tie, like, I'm already financially tied to PSA in many ways because a lot of my product is PSA graded slabs. I do not want to have to interface with them even more in depth and have like hundreds of angry people mad at me because PSA isn't fulfilling their promised turnaround times or anything like that. That's just a nightmare scenario for me.
That's another thing I never even thought of is customer service. When say PSA completely reopens, everything's going fine, and something happens where their turnaround times go to shit again.
Yep.
That would be a nightmare. Trying to communicate with everyone and answering all those emails and ugh.
Yeah, and I don't want any part of it. I think middlemen provide a great service, like not even just for the people who aren't familiar with it, aren't comfortable with it. People like providing all the insurance both ways, all that. But they provided a value to PSA because instead of getting 100 packages of 10 cards each, PSA is just getting 2 with 500 each or something like that. And they provided value to people like me and you who graded hundreds or thousands of cards because we were able to do it without having to enter them in ourselves. So yeah, they're good for the market. They're just not me. There's a lot of different ways to make money, and that's one of them. And that's one of them. I'm not going to make money that way. Like I could see myself, and I never have before, but if I have just some regular customer and say there's some day that I'm like doing a box break and people wanted to grade, I mean, I could see something like that where I very minimally on a very limited basis do, but not like a middleman service at all.
Yeah. I've done that before for Celebi Collectibles. Sent a few cards in for him, and that was fine. I didn't mind that, but doing it as a full-time thing, nope.
Some of my personal experiences too, like there's threads on E4 from years ago where I sent cards that just ended up like I pack fresh pulled them, EX era cards back when the boxes were a few $100s, but the whole corners were creased. Like the cards had been like they got smashed somehow. And if that were a customer's cards, I just don't want to be the middleman to the issues that can arise dealing with PSA. It sucks enough when it's my own stuff, but then that's between me and them. But having to interface between PSA and the end customer when something like that potentially happens, no. Nope. So my next question, you just mentioned Celebi. Here's Celebi Collectibles.
What a coincidence.
He's got some crystal ball questions for us regarding the $50 tier opening publicly. So when the $50 tier opens, people will probably look at the cards they own or raw prices and compare it to PSA 10 current prices at the time of reopening. Meanwhile, not taking into account that everyone else who owns that card is doing the same and will have the same idea. So his questions are, which cards are going to tank the most when people start submitting in mass at $50 tiers? Why will it be English Modern? What do you predict will happen to sets like Chilling Reign / Battle Styles where no cheap option for grading was available yet? And what do you think PSA 9 prices will be on modern cards? So I'm not one who's graded many like ultra modern cards ever. The last time I really did it on some sets out of the gate were like, I graded one of the first 5, I think, the full art Mega Charizard EX from Evolutions. I played that game to like send it through quick, get too much money for it, watch the price tank from there. I think that modern, second part of your question, why will it be English Modern? I think a lot of it will. It's weird though, because it's like when $50 opens, if it's that 90-day, on a lot of cards, you're going to be better off probably paying 100 or 150 to get it back within a week or something. So that's part of the reason that I don't play in this game, because you're grading like you're spending like multiples of the card's value on the grading service, and you're just playing hot potato trying to get rid of it. And as you mentioned, I think English Modern will be a lot of it, but some of it opens up too. Like, I guess the PSA 9s have come down a bunch. I don't have one here, but like I think PSA 10, this is unlimited, but like first edition Pikachu is like $150. And the 9 is like, it's under 50, but it's like 40 maybe. So some cards like that come back into play, where if the 9 is like close to break even, slight loss, because I like, historically speaking, I can grade a 10 rate on these cards if I'm like looking well. Like last year I wasn't concerned on getting 9s, so I chucked out all of them. But if I was like 5 years ago, I was grading these and I didn't want to get 9s, and I would grade like 70-80% 10s. So I could safely send some of those things out at $50 a card if prices were to maintain. That's where your question addresses, like, if 50 people each send out 100 of those, assuming prices are going to stay the same, prices are not going to stay the same, because 5,000 of them are going to come back all at once. So it's like a very, it's a really tough optimization problem to try to like work through all of it and figure it all out. So my own strategy, I'm going to very minimally touch $50 a card grading. I still have a few thousand cards at PSA under $10 a card, thankfully. So I'm going to like, I think I sent 12 at 100, and then the 5, maybe it was 15 at 100, and then the 5 at 50. I'm going to try to be as patient as possible, because I think we are within a year and a half of sub $20 grading again. So a lot of people are going to be playing that game though. And then the question you asked, I've asked myself this a lot and I don't know the answer, but like never in the history, at least the last several years, have sets been coming out where grading was just like almost altogether unavailable. So like we've had a year worth of sets almost now where PSA's just been essentially shut down. Some of them were expressed through, but a lot of cards weren't either. So if and when will these cards start coming through? I don't know the answer, and it's not going to be me sending them. That's my take on it. I don't even have, like, I didn't open any. I didn't open any hardly of that product, so I don't even have the singles. I'm just not going to play that game. Long question, long answer.
I'm definitely going to start. I'm not going to start with Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies, all the sets that have already come out. But with Brilliant Stars, I'm definitely going to try that with the Charizards. Sending them
at 50 or at 150?
Oh, I'm going to do 150. Yeah. Get them back as quick as possible. Sell them the second I get them back. I've actually never done that, so I'm kind of excited to try that.
I hate paying PSA that much money.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble.
It can work out if you've got a good eye and you do it right, but like I just fundamentally at my core, I hate paying them $150 on a card. Like if I'm doing it, I've sent like Mysterious Pearls. I sent my recent $100 submission had some Grand Party, like things like that is more fine. But I do not want to send an ultra modern sub $50 card and spend $150. I hate that.
But that you have to do that. I'm even thinking, we were talking about this before, how we don't like express shipping. Express ship it there, $150 for grading, express ship it home. Because you do have to be one of the first few people to market with that stuff. Pricing absolutely plummets. And I'll never understand why people pay such high pricing for the first, second, third copy that come out. You'd think people would realize there's going to be more than one of these copies that come out, but I don't know if people ever will realize that.
If anything, and I've thought about it, but I've still never done it. But like going for the perfect 10 or the black label 10 I would almost rather that, but that is just the next level of difficulty.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to, especially with CGC. I
But
don't
like,
think I'd be able to say, okay, this
no.
one's gonna get a CGC 10.
But like Hidden Fates Charizard, people, what did the first handful of PSA 10s get? Not 2,000, I don't think. North of 1,000. Maybe some
I
got,
think it was close to 2,000, just under or just over.
but that first Black Label got 10,000. So it's like
No, it
you
was like
could
13,000, wasn't it?
over 10. It was over 10. Yeah,
It was absurd. Yeah.
it's tempting. It's tempting to like take that gamble, but I guess I gamble enough with the amount of product that I open and some other ventures I'm taking on. So I don't see myself playing that game until I have a lot more time, and I'm at least a year away from getting like, that's if I stop buying everything. And I my last video is like, I can't stop buying Pokemon cards. So I'm not gonna play that game while I've got like a backlog of a PSA level backlog of stuff to list and sell.
That's the downside to opening Modern, is it's all about being first to market. So once you get those boxes in, you have to be opening those packs, getting the cards sorted, getting them listed. That is your number one priority, because pricing just plummets so quickly.
And I'm not quick with that. I've still got hundreds of cards to photo and list, and I mean, I can skip things to the front of the queue, but I'm just, yeah, that's not going back to like, I like to do what I enjoy, and that I don't enjoy paying that much per card to PSA, and I don't enjoy like the stress of playing that hot potato so quick.
I wish I had thought of this for celebrations. I don't know what I was thinking, because I got my celebrations. I think it came out on a Friday, and I got my celebrations like that Monday, and I just let the boxes sit there for the entire week, and I didn't do anything with them.
And see, do you remember I sold a bunch of singles?
Yeah, I remember that. That's what got me thinking. Now,
in hindsight, like if anything, I want to be the guy. Like, what do they say? They say the people who made the money during the gold rush were the people selling the shovels.
mm-hmm.
The people who are making the money now in the Pokemon rush is PSA and PWCC. It's like the auction houses and the grading companies. I mean, you and I have done well too, but those guys are doing
not nearly
really
as well as
well.
them.
So, in a way, like maybe the play that I'll do, like maybe I'll be the one opening the product quick and just selling raw singles to the guys that want to express grade them. Because I sold my Umbreon Gold Star for 2 something, my Gold Mew for 200 something, my Charizard for like 300 or whatever it was. I got those singles out quick, and it all, yeah. So that's always a play too.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, with the $50 card tier too, because I don't think I answered any of that question. I don't think Modern's going to be worth submitting at that $50 tier like we discussed. It's either going to be paying that $150 tier to get them back quick, or just not sending them in. Outside of like a very select few of handful of cards, like the chase cards of the set. Sleeping Tyranitar, I think that'd be one you could submit if you think it's going to be a 10 from Battle Styles. But outside of those select cards, I don't think we're going to see much being submitted into PSA from those types of sets. I know I'm going to be submitting a decent bit of cards come the $50 tier. So I broke down all my WOTC binder sets. And I like to start grading the hollows, because some of those look really, really clean.
50 is still a lot. Like when you look at, I don't know which set you're talking exactly, but if you look at Fossil Jungle Rocket, a lot of those cards in PSA 9 are like $100 again.
Yeah. But like the Neos and then the e-reader sets, I think those would be good. Those would be good.
Some of those are
$50 card.
I want to say there's some e-reader sets where the nines are like 100 something, and it just,
Well, you obviously have to be careful about what you're submitting.
yeah, it's, I don't know. I hate paying that much to PSA. It's tough. Yeah, 50 is still a lot, especially at 90 days. If they take the
Yeah.
full 90 business days on that, the problem is like 80% of their capacity is being put to the backlog. So I remember back in late 2020, I was chucking out bulk. I also sent a couple, like, I don't remember what the tiers were called at the time or what they cost, but I want to say I spent $50 a card on some first edition Pikachus and Eevees and base unlimited Charmanders. I spent $50 a piece grading those, and I got them back within weeks, I think, at the time. And I sold them into the $500+ insanity. But I was pretty confident when I sent those in, they were going to skip my bulk ones, that they beat them by a year.
Yeah. Yep.
In this instance, though, like, I've got thousands still. Those might come back before a fresh batch of $50 per card comes back. So that's makes it tougher too.
Yeah. With you, where you still have so many cards in the backlog, that's different. I have 3 or 4 submissions, probably 1,000 cards there between those submissions.
Did I tell you I have 2 more coming back?
You did, yeah. Did you ever find out what those were?
No, because they sent me the I'm kind of scared what's gonna come in, because they sent me the order code for something I already have back, like 100%. I sent a lot of submissions with a lot of duplication, like these guys were in every one, but I sent some very specific things. They sent me the order code for all that Diamond and Pearl hollow stuff that I had, which was only in one submission, and supposedly those are coming. Maybe I'll get the same cards back again somehow, and that'll be nice, but
be like deja vu.
I don't think that's possible. But so I don't know what's coming back. I don't even want to I don't know. I probably should have said, like, it's definitely not those. What is it? Hopefully it's my card. We'll see. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have it all, but
if we see you post a picture of a illustrator, we'll know why.
yeah. But yeah, I'm assuming they just sent the wrong number, and they're all similar sounding names, just with a different suffix of a number. So it could have just,
yeah.
I'm interested. It should be here tomorrow, actually, I think. So when this goes live, I'll be
How many
opening the
packages
box.
is it? Just two boxes?
2. I want to say it's a 500 and a 200 card order.
I was gonna say, I wonder if it's your, well, you said PSA, so it wouldn't be that. your massive CGC submission.
I think all my CGC's back. I'm so bad. I need to sit down and I need to completely hammer down, like, what is still out there, how many. Like, I'm looking at my sheet right now and I see at least 12, 15, at least 2,000 PSA cards, 2,500.
Man,
my CGC might all be back though. Yeah, my McDonald's promos are back. Jungle Fossil.
Oh,
I think all my CGC's back except for the. I did send out one relatively recently, like the last one I was gonna send out.
Yeah.
Hidden Fates and stuff, I think.
Yeah, I have a few with CGC, but those were all submitted like July, September. I think I did an August one too. So those ones we won't see for a while.
Yeah,
but,
I think my latest before that other one was like April, and then I was done, I believe.
April was your last one before?
April, and then like 200 in September, October, whenever that was.
Yep. Yeah. I don't think I'll be submitting much more into CGC myself. No. But That was a good question.
Yeah.
Whatever the question was. So my next question comes from. Gotta pull up the sheet here again. I was not prepared for this. Hold on. So we got Base Blue Boy again. What is your least favorite WOTC set? Challenge mode. You can't pick reprint sets. Base set 2, legendary collection. So my least favorite is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and say that's a tough one.
It is.
And I didn't prepare for this one either. I used to, as a kid, I really, really didn't like Team Rocket. That's actually what got me out of Pokemon, was seeing all the dark Pokemon. And even now, I'm not a big fan of Team Rocket, but I wouldn't say it's my least favorite. I'm actually going to have to go with one of the e-reader sets. I like Aquapolis and Skyridge are all right. So I'm going to go with Expedition as being my least favorite. I've never been a fan of the big yellow borders. I've always liked the look of the original WOTC stuff. And so that's what I'm going to go with, Expedition, just because of the big yellow borders.
This one's really hard. I honestly, like that earlier question, the proper answer was taken away from us. So Base Jungle Fossil, that's my core nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's definitely not those. Rocket, I was around for a little bit into the gyms. I might have to say maybe Gym Challenge, honestly. I feel like
Challenge?
I like it, but the thing is I like them all. And it's not like I dislike that set by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got to pick one, right?
You prefer Gym Heroes over Gym Challenge?
Those two are really, it's one of those two. I like Sabrina's Gengar a lot. Charizard is Charizard, right? But I'm not, it's
Arcanine.
But that's the thing. They all have, I'd have to really look at all the commons and uncommons too. I'm bad in that. My brain is very hollow focused. I'd have to go through the whole binders for like a couple hours to give but then it would change by the day too. I'm really bad at I'm not good at favorites, but I'm way worse at least favorite. I've mentioned it many times. I'm too easy to please. I just like them all. But I didn't want to not pick something. So Gym Challenge today, ask me tomorrow. It's Gym Heroes. Ask me the next day. Expedition base set. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough question. Yeah. I was also going to throw Neo Discovery in there because that's definitely my least favorite Neo set. That's an easy question right there. What would your least favorite Neo set be?
Probably Discovery.
Yeah.
Because Revelation and Destiny, you've got the Shinings, obviously. Genesis. It would be Discovery or Genesis, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, it'd be one of those.
I like Genesis.
I like it.
Typhlosion.
I like them all. I like them all. That's the thing. It would be hard to pick. I'd have to really think on it, and then I'd just flip flop all over the place. Constantly change it up.
You're just staying on your toes there.
Yeah. My next question comes from Pokey Martin. What are on both of your wish lists for 2022? And what 3 things can the Pokemon Company do to get more customers and help both of your businesses grow? 3 things. Well,
Well, wish list item first.
Wish list for Pokemon specific, or what are on both of your wish lists? I guess non-Pokemon was like a new car, and I bought it yesterday. So I've got, that's like wish list item taken care of. I was driving a 13-year-old grandpa mobile and it was starting to fall apart. Every month something else was going wrong with it. So I just finally bit the bullet and updated. Given this whole pandemic, chip shortage, all that, used cars were like so close to new car pricing. I didn't think I'd ever be one to buy a new car, but I went brand new. So it's nice. I've never bought a new car, and it's nice to just have a brand new car. So I guess that's a non-Pokemon wish list. Pokemon wish list: get a big new item I've never owned, like a Mew orb or a Pika ring or a half art Pikachu trophy. I don't think it's gonna happen, because even though the prices are down on a lot of those, I don't really want to be making 5-figure collection buys anytime soon. It's just a lot. I've got a handful of cards now worth in that vicinity, but I paid a lot less for them. Like it's hard to spend that much on a card. And then what 3 things or I guess why don't you do your wish list and then I'll do the 3 things.
So my wish list, if we're talking like a super unrealistic thing that I hope for, it would be the PSA 10 no damage Ninetales. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But if it's something that's actually realistic and something that I probably can accomplish, it would be finishing up my booster pack collection. I have a few more foreign base variants that I need, and then I just started collecting sample packs and Dollar Tree packs. Having a lot of fun with that, actually. So that's one of my goals for this year, and I think that's a fairly realistic goal. Another semi unrealistic, or most likely unrealistic, just because they're so hard to find, would be I'm missing a legendary collection in a Skyridge theme deck display case. Ooh. So I'd love to own one of those or both of those at some point, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Skyridge, you've got that Eevee deck, and then legendary collection, you've got the Charizard deck. Yep. Turmoil, right?
Yep.
Those decks are so expensive. Solo. Times it by 4, get 4 of the other one, and put it in a sealed case. I can't even imagine what those would go for.
It'd definitely be pricey. There's the what's his name? Card EU or something like that, on the one who lives in Europe.
Cardhouse?
Yeah, Cardhouse. Yeah. He's got a Skyridge case listed on eBay, but there's a big slit in the wrapping and the box is all crushed in. So I want something that looks decent. But he's got that listed for 40,000 on eBay. So there's a price reference at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. It's listed as damaged, and it's definitely damaged.
So if anyone finds one of those at a garage sale, or in an attic of a house that you just bought, or maybe a estate sale when you're smoking a cigarette, keep me in mind.
Oh God, we'll get there. So then the other part of it, what 3 things can the Pokemon company do to get more customers and help my business grow? I guess number 1 would just be like fully get us to where everything's in stock in rotation. So everything from the past 2 years being fully in stock. So that's one thing they can do. Second thing they can do, make good sets. I think they've done really well. Modern is amazing right now. I loved Celebrations. Evolving Skies was a lot of fun. I think Chilling Reign and Battle Styles get more hate than they deserve. I think there's been a lot of fun, nice sets. So just continue with that. Third thing, what's the third thing they can do? Maybe, I know you're not a big fan, but like maybe get back into some non-TCG release, do some collaboration. I'm not a big fan of like the whole serialized card thing being tied in with the TCG. And within this year is like really soon for that to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I guess that'll be my third thing. Like go into something with tops for a non-TCG collector's focus set.
Those are good answers. My first one, I'm not gonna put these in any type of order. But my first one would be smaller sets. I think modern sets are just
That's a good one.
way too massive right now. Aside from that, you had some good points there. I think continuing to sell modern product through the Pokemon Center website, I think that would be a good idea on their part and help the hobby out. I'm not the biggest fan of those Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs and stuff like that, but I do think it's a good idea for the Pokemon Center to be selling that type of stuff direct to consumer, because they obviously have a much larger supply and people can just hop online and order it. So I think that's a good idea, something that they should definitely continue to do going forward. And then I can't even think of a third one.
Steal one of mine.
Well, I'm trying not to. That's the thing.
I know it's tougher when 3 have already been taken.
Yeah, no, I think the artwork one, that one's definitely important. Which they're doing a phenomenal job about that right now. Unlike you over there, Mr. Optimistic with Battle Styles. Those sets were garbage. Battle Styles and Chilling Reign. Chilling Reign was decent. Battle Styles, though, terrible set. So yeah, that'd be my 3. That's a good question, though. I like that wish list and 3-thing question. We'll see how many of them actually come true.
Yeah.
So my next question comes from Matt D. He asks, in Platinum's base set, the Electabuzz, Hitmonchan, and Scyther cards that we all know and love were reprinted as secret rares. What was reception like for these cards back then? I have absolutely no idea on that one. I was not in Platinum. I don't even think I was in 09, so I was just getting into Pokemon, or re-getting into Pokemon back then. And I was, back then, 2009, I was exclusively unlimited base set. I had not branched out into any of the other WOTC sets yet. So I did not know about Platinum whatsoever. So I could not tell you. But I would imagine, I don't remember, like I wasn't on E4, so I wasn't really talking to people either. But I don't really remember excitement around modern sets, because it was so much smaller back then. Like you could look on eBay and type in Pokemon, start searching, and you'd like recognize like half the people selling just by the little thumbnail image. Like you knew Gary, Ed. I remember a guy, Mark Triumphant 6. Did you ever purchase from him? He was really big down in Florida. huge into Shadowless. He had a ton of that stuff listed. I remember seeing Rusty back then. I don't ever remember seeing Scott SM Pratt, but yeah, it was just such a different time and smaller market back then. But I don't remember about the secret rares from Platinum. I'm even today. You falsely accused me of knowing and loving those cards, Matt. I'm not a big fan of those cards. I don't mind reprints. Usually like evolutions, celebrations. I really like the reprints in those sets.
Well, he's saying the cards that we all know and love were reprinted.
Oh,
he's
okay,
talking about the base,
okay.
the jungle,
I
being the
gotcha.
ones we know and love. Yeah.
Okay, because the reprints in Platinum, I'm really not a big fan of those cards. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, I don't mind them, and I left the hobby. I left the TCG somewhere around gym sets, and I left the video games with Sapphire. I didn't play the Diamond and Pearl games originally. So how they were received when they came out, I can't remotely answer that because I didn't hop back in until 2014. So yeah, unfortunately, I just have no answer to that. My next question. Where am I? Sergio Card Safari. How do you manage bookkeeping for tax purposes, particularly when it comes to expensing cards that are part of large lots? Let's say you buy a large lot last year and are selling cards from that lot into this year. How does the timing work out? And what would you do if you don't know where the cost of certain cards stem from, which lot they were bought from? Thanks so much. Neither of us are tax professionals. Consult.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but like I should write it on a piece of paper and just hold it up. Consult a tax professional, but I guess I used to do my inventory on an accrual basis. If you don't know what that means, look it up. But very roughly speaking, from not a tax professional, you'd maintain an inventory. You can imagine how hard that would be buying big lots. And as you mentioned, selling some here, selling some there, grading some, this and that. Now I do everything on a cash basis. If you don't fully know what that means, talk to your CPA. They'll get you all set. Generally speaking, probably incorrectly explaining it, but money in, money out is what matters, and you pay taxes on your gains from that perspective. So I don't want to get too much more in depth than that, but look up the difference between cash and accrual accounting and have that conversation with your CPA.
Yeah, I would pretty much agree with that. I do everything cash basis as well. So when I buy a collection, it's deducted right then. And definitely go the route of talking to someone who does taxes for a living versus trying to save $100 or so and doing it yourself on TurboTax. I did that the first year and it was so confusing for me. Even TurboTax, when it comes to a business, it's just stuff that nobody is interested in outside of accountants, and it's really confusing. And going to someone who actually does taxes for a living, the amount of money that you're going to save with them is going to cover the amount that you're spending with them, because they know all kinds of legal deductions. I was going to say loopholes, but they're not loopholes. Stuff that you'd never consider, and they know all that. They do it for a job, so definitely the way to go there. Plus, it's just a massive headache doing taxes. I do not enjoy that process whatsoever.
It cannot be stressed enough, like how you just need to really go talk to someone, what you pay them. Like find somebody reputable, look at reviews online, talk to anybody else you know local to you that may be in the business that can refer you to who they use. but the amount of money you pay them is going to be more than recouped in ensuring that it's being done correctly, and they'll just find ways to minimize your tax burden legally that save you a lot of money. It really is just, it's unfortunate how complex the whole system is, but I did it. I paid someone the first time I got that 1099 because I didn't know what I was doing. I paid them for a few years. Every year that they gave me what they filed, I poured over it line by line, and I figured out where they put every number and all this and that. And I made the stupid decision to do it myself for a few years after that, because I learned, I'm like, why am I paying this guy how many $100 to do this? I can do it myself. And I did. And I think I did it right and I did it fine. But then the tax laws change a lot of times. And when I wised up and decided to pay someone to do it again, I looked back and I'm like, oh, they're like, hey, you missed this and this that updated with this law this year. And we're saving you an extra this amount. And that amount that they were saving me was probably more than I was paying them. So these guys eat, sleep, and breathe it. They stay up to date on all the ever-changing tax laws. They're always changing. Very regional, so we can't even properly, he's in Massachusetts, I'm in New York. It's different by like town. It's crazy. So find a CPA local to you and pay them a bunch of money and they'll save you a bunch of money.
Another thing that I will add is there's a lot of people who are worrying about these 1099s for this year. And this is, again, just my opinion. The IRS is not hyper focused on us. So don't sweat the small stuff. If you bought a collection for $100 and you don't know if you're going to put it in this year or next year, I don't think the IRS is going to care about your $100 collection or whatever it is. As long as you're doing what you think you should be doing, generally following the rules, paying your taxes and all that stuff, I find it hard to believe that your small business is going to get audited. But again,
but it will if you get a 1099 and like shred it and pretend like it doesn't exist. Ignoring it will not make it go away. Generally speaking, people don't go to jail for like doing things wrong accidentally. But when you're intentionally, knowingly evading taxes by putting your 1099 in the shredder, that's when people end up like, I'm not saying they're going to come arrest you if your $601 1099 doesn't get all sorted out, and they'll just send you a bill later and say you owe. They'll assume, like, if you don't file a 1099, they'll assume that that's all profit and you'll just owe your marginal tax rate on that money, and then penalties and interest and all that. Talk to a tax professional and just do it right.
That's pretty much what it comes down to, for sure.
Yeah.
So my next question comes from PokeKid92. If you were to cross over CGC cards to PSA, would you crack the card out of the CGC case before sending it to PSA? Or would you just send the card in the CGC case to PSA? So I would, whatever I'm doing, if I'm crossing from one company to the next, even if it's PSA to CGC, BGS to CGC, whatever the case may be, I would always crack the card out of the case, send it to whichever grading company, because I find it very hard to believe that it's a completely unbiased opinion, where they're physically able to see the label on the card saying this grading company gave it such and such a grade, so it's probably going to be within that range. And then plus, it's tough to kind of know the exact grade of a card when it's in that case, when they're reviewing it. I think if it's like borderline 9 to 10, say it's a CGC card you're sending to PSA, if it's borderline 9 to 10, once they crack it out of that case, they're committed. So I think there'd be a lot more leniency to keep it as a CGC whatever than to upgrade it to a PSA 10, whatever you put as the minimum grade. So that'd be my answer to that one.
Yeah, and I fully agree, because if you're sending like a CGC 9.5 and you put minimum grade PSA 10, they're going to be very cautious. They're going to not crack that slab until they're nearly 100% confident it's going to get a PSA 10. And it's really hard to do that when the card is obscured through a case. And the only information they have to go off of is the fact that CGC already graded it a 9.5. And especially if it has subgrades, like this is a 9, but this has a subgrade of 8.5 on the edges. They're going to see that and they're going to say, oh, yep, that's why it got the 8.5 on the edges. That's why we're not going to crack it and it's not going to get whatever they wanted for the minimum grade. The only exception would be like if you're sending something really, really expensive and you're just afraid to crack it yourself. I can see sending something in case, but I would just send it with no minimum grade. I would still worry to some extent. Like say I had a CGC 8.5. I've mentioned on my channel many times. I think not all, but many CGC 8.5s in my experiences would likely be a PSA 9. Part of me would worry though, if I sent out, like say I had a base first. Well, here's a base first Alakazam. I think this is probably a PSA 9. I would worry though, they'd see the 8.5. We're better than CGC. Or what did they see? Let's find it. This one doesn't have subs, so they're going to have to guess. But mentally, I think they're going to just like be more likely to give the 8. Could be wrong, but like people are not.
Maybe you'll luck out and get a PSA 8.5.
Yeah, or that would be the worst. People are not good at like keeping emotion and keeping like staying completely unbiased and unaffected by another third-party grader's opinion. Like I don't think they can completely put that out of their mind. And maybe PSA would say it would be cracked in a different department, and it would be maybe they put something over it in a different department, and then I have no idea. But a card like this, value-wise, I would be completely comfortable just cracking it out and sending it. If you don't put a minimum grade, I would hope that PSA would have one department that would crack it, and then it would go to the graders where they wouldn't see the grade. But I have no idea how that exactly works or looks on their end. Covers that one?
I think so. I think we did a good job with that one.
Final question for each. So SDC Collectibles. Question, can you explain the pros and cons of using crypto for transactions? Risks? Will this be the preferred method going forward with PayPal, Venmo, increasing fees, etc.? So I love crypto. I hate banks. So I recently bought, and these cards specifically, the top 6, and there was a lot more. I've actually still got them here because I was listing them today. Game Boy promos, Grand Party, Fan Club Vaporeon. I paid $10,000 in USD coin for the cards, and for me to send $10,000, it was Bug Catcher Dave on Instagram. He's selling some really, really nice cards right now. I bought, this was like a spare one that he had, but he had like all the Fan Club EVs. Anyways, he's in the US, so I could have fairly easily wired him money. But for me, I have like a little local credit union. I have to physically go into the bank, into the credit union to wire money. They don't have that like online feature to do that. But sending USD coin, I could do it right from my desktop. I could log in, boom, send it over. A wire at my bank, I believe, costs $35, and I think on his end there would be an incoming wire fee, so the total fee might be somewhere around $50. And I think wires are fairly instant. Yeah, I've sent a couple.
It takes a couple hours, but it's not bad.
But USD coin, I sent him 10,000 and he had it within a minute. And I could have sent that to anyone anywhere in the world and had it done in a minute. From a risk perspective, so I sent him the money before he sent me the cards. He could have ran away, and given his presence in the community and just knowing other people who had bought from him successfully, I mean, $10,000 is a lot of money, and it would have hurt. It would have hurt to like lose that from someone just scamming me, but it wouldn't have like bankrupted me, and I wouldn't have like not been able to eat or pay my bills. So part of it is like, what's your risk tolerance? What can you afford to potentially lose? So that's from the buyer side. From the seller side, I've accepted crypto on 5-figure deals, and it's amazing because it's literally like I get all the money up front. The buyer understands that shipment is their risk, and I send it whatever method they want. I mean, obviously, I want it to get there, but theoretically, if it weren't and there were some issues, that's on them. I've got my money. I'm paid. Irreversible transaction. There's no eBay buyer protection. There's no Bitcoin buyer protection. They're not going to like, they're not going to get their transfer reversed in any way. So that's a good thing from the seller side. It's a bit of a risk from the buyer side though. So my preferred deal always though, Nick and I have kind of both mentioned this. I love when I wake up in the morning or when I'm at my computer and someone just buys something on eBay. That's my preferred platform. People call them eBay. They don't like their fees, this and that. I love it. You reach so many buyers and things just sell, and you package them up and ship them, and you get a positive feedback a week later, or you don't. I don't even care. As long as they don't open a case or message me. Crypto is like, you gotta, okay, what's your address? And you gotta be a little careful copying and pasting it. And because if you send it to the wrong address, it's just gone. I guess it's a good time to, so I live in New York. Tether, for anyone familiar with crypto, is illegal in New York. It's like a stable coin that's pegged to the dollar. It's called USDT, US dollar tether. Similar to USDC, USD coin. It's a stable coin, but I don't know exactly what happened, but the New York Attorney General outlawed Tether because they don't have like proof that they actually have the funds to back how much Tether's out there. Someone was buying a card from me, and I said, hey, I live in New York. This is a USD coin address. Don't send anything but USD coin to it, or it'll be gone. They sent me Tether. I have the money in my Coinbase account. I can't take it out because it's illegal. It's there. I can't send it back. I can't take it out. I can't convert it to USD coin. I spent a lot of time like trying to figure out how. Coinbase literally said you need to move, get a new ID with a non-New York address, upload that to us, and then we'll change your account's location, and then you can transact with it. Or the laws need to change. So I told the buyer, I'm like, I kind of have your money, but I mostly don't. I have the card set aside right now because I have duplicates of it. But it's a weird situation where like I kind of want to sell the card and get the money. That's why I listed it before. But yeah, it's just a weird, stupid situation. But I mean, the buyer fully made the mistake. If you're paying in Bitcoin, you can't send Ethereum. It might get rejected and it might come back, or it might just get lost forever. There's some risk in it with that too. So like, yeah, unfortunate situation, and I don't know how it's going to end. It's still at the point where I have but don't have the money, and I'm holding the card off to the side.
That was a while ago too. I remember you mentioning that to me, and I feel like that's been a decently long time.
And I feel bad about it. And one thing that was proposed is like selling it again to the same person for like, the card has come down some. Selling it for a bit of a discount, cheaper than I would normally sell it, because I do feel kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then if and when I ever get access to the money, sending back the remains. Something like that might happen, but I don't really know how it's going to all end. I said, like, if 20 years from now it comes back and I sell the card otherwise, or I don't, I'm going to give the guy the money back.
Yeah.
But if it's like 80 years from now and it pops up and my kid inherits my account and he doesn't know, like, I mean, it's a weird situation, and I figured I'd bring it up because I guess that it was a bit of a risk. If you type something wrong or do something wrong, you can lose a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm very old fashioned. I feel like grandpa over here. I don't know much about crypto whatsoever. I have no desire to learn about it.
Have you had like I bought a box from Australia from an E4 member, and it took like 2 weeks. I wired the money to Wise, and then they converted it to Australian dollars, and they wired it over. If he could have been paid in Bitcoin or Ethereum, or there's probably an AUD coin, or there's probably an Australian dollar stable coin, it could have been done in minutes, but it took like 2 weeks. I just hate, like, the banking system is operating in like it's 1950.
Oh, that is 100% true. That part does aggravate me beyond frustration. I've encountered that problem a few times with consigning cards for people, where I've straightened the situation out. But when I was first starting to do it, like all those payment apps, so like some people don't want to do friends and PayPal friends and family, so they want Venmo, Cash App, Zelle's another one, Apple Pay is another one. All of those payment processing apps have limits on your account, either a daily limit, a weekly limit. Apple Pay has a monthly limit, and the limit is absolutely ridiculous. It's like 2,500 up to 5,000 is like the top limit of some of these apps. So if you want to send over 5,000, it is nearly impossible. Luckily, Venmo has like a business side where you can increase your limit that way, but it's so hard to send people money. And then my bank is the same way. You have to go in person to do a wire transfer. Can't do that online, which is a pain in the butt. Yeah, with that side, I definitely agree with you on that side. But I don't think I can't see myself ever getting into crypto, learning that.
Wise is kind of nice. I did recently.
I like Wise a lot. Yeah.
So I used Wise with Australia, and it took like 2 weeks. I used Wise when I bought from Rusty recently, and I forget what the total fee was, but it was 5 figures, and I want to say the total fee was like $10-ish. But it was next.
That's reasonable.
Sorry, it was $26.32. I just opened it up. So if I had sent that in USD coin, instead of taking, I think that took 36 hours, it would have taken 36 seconds, and it would have cost $10 instead of 26, which isn't massive, but
hey, if you're doing those 5-figure deals every other day, it adds up.
Yeah, you'd think banks would be able to, it's 2022.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You think a bank should be able to like, bing, you got $50,000. Like,
Yep.
just,
Exactly.
I mean, in the speed that you can send an email or a text message, or the money should just be able to move quickly and cheaply, but it's not remotely the case.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, I can't stand banks. Even like I think we were talking about this before. Um I have a credit card through my bank, and I get like emails once a week asking me if I want to get this new credit card or if I want to increase my limit or something along those lines. Yet when it comes time to pay my bill, they are silent. No reminders about that. And I actually missed paying my credit card bill 1 month, and they were real quick about charging interest on it.
I did the same thing a couple months ago. Luckily mine had like the late payment forgiveness or whatever for the first time, because like I've had a credit card for 16 years now. When I got a car, I got a credit card for like gas and stuff. And I was so mad at myself. But yeah, like emails all the time, activate this offer, new credit card, blah, blah, blah. Payment comes due. It's like you usually, because I usually pay it, my statement date might be due on the 20th. I usually go through and do like my monthly financial recap, and I pay it within the first 10 days of the month. You'd think that like a week out, hey, payments due in a week, this much, minimum payment, full statement balance, because I always pay the statement balance, and then like a day to go, and then like the last day, even the next day, because it took me like 2 or 3 days to realize no emails. That is so messed up.
Oh yeah,
Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
fully on me. I messed up, but no notification. How long would it have went until my next statement would have just had a bunch of big red letters and yeah, a lot of big fees and
Yep.
I hate banks.
No, I definitely hear you there. I feel the same about that situation.
Juicy ending.
Oh, we're not done yet though. We still have
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. The one that you're about to read.
Oh yeah, yeah. So my next question comes from, let me pull this up here. Evolved Collectibles. I'm actually going to do his second question first, and then we'll do his first one. He asked 2 questions. The second one was, what is your feeling on single listings of the same set bulk cards versus using eBay variations, i.e. listing all Sword and Shield base cards on a single product page with each card as its own variation versus having all of those cards in their own dedicated listing or dedicated page listings? I feel like I've read pros and cons for both, but thought you might have had some experience or testing of this. So this question is more so out of laziness on my part. Before I want to say it's been about a year or 2 since eBay introduced that policy. Before eBay introduced that policy, variation listings were only allowed in certain categories, and Pokemon wasn't one of them. So people who did variation listings sometimes got in trouble, and those listings got taken down. So I looked into it back then, but I never did it just because I didn't want those listings to get taken down and have to redo all that work. But then when eBay allowed Pokemon listings to have those variation listings, I had just had too much listed on eBay at that point, and I didn't want to go back through and have to change all of my listings, and I like remaining consistent. So that's just how I'm going to do everything going forward. Is every single card is going to have a unique listing to it. But that's just my personal preference. There are a lot of pros to variation listings. For one, it's the variation listings. When you search for a card on eBay, say you're searching for a base set Charmeleon, type in base set Charmeleon. Even though your variation listing might say unlimited base set, uncommon cards, near mint condition, it doesn't have Charmeleon in the title whatsoever. It does have Charmeleon in that variation kind of drop down menu. So it is going to show up in those types of search results. So you don't have to worry about your cards not showing up in specific searches. It'll most likely show up. The other huge pro of variation listings is the fact that it's that one listing. And so no matter what card you sell from that listing, you're going to get sales in that listing. And the more sales that you have from that listing, the listing gets promoted more and more and more. So you're starting to sell more and more and more. Whereas if each card is listed individually, cards are going to sell slower. Your listings aren't going to get promoted as quickly. So there are definitely big upsides to variation listings, and very little downside outside of stubbornness. Do you have any downsides to variation listings?
From the buyer's side, I think it's a bad buyer experience a lot of times.
Really?
So I recently bought a bunch of like packing supplies, and a lot of sellers for them, like I buy the quad 0 and the double 0.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody will just have a variation listing for padded bubble mailers, and in it they'll have, because you can do like multi-level.
Oh yeah.
So you can have, like, they have 25 packs all the way to 1,000 packs of this, and same for this. And they've got the 2s, the 5s, the 7s, all that. One thing I run into is, like, I search 500. I usually buy a 500 pack of the quad 0s and the double 0s. Well, I'll search 500 quad 0, and it will show like I know what I pay for that roughly. As I say that, I think I pay, like, it used to be like $30, but it's gone up. Like, it's gone up with the whole pandemic. I want to say last time it was closer to 40, so like 8 cents a piece. But when I search that, when it's a variation listing, it'll pop up. Sometimes I go into it. Well, one, it'll say the price is anywhere between $8 and $800.
Yep.
Because some of them are like, you can get 500 or 1,000 of the number 7s, which are massive. So it's like, I want to just know what 500 quad 0s cost. Because I see this listing for $49.99. I see this one for $47.99. And then this one's $4 to $400. Well, now I got to click into it and do some detective work to figure out, like, it takes more time. So I'm less likely to click into those and buy them as a buyer.
Okay.
So that's a con, I think, for sure. Another thing too, there's times where I'll search 500 quad 0s. I think it brings me to it because there's like 500 available for some of the sizes, and there's some quantities of quad 0s available.
Yeah.
There's not 500 quad 0s.
Yep.
So like you might search base set Charmeleon, and you find a multivariable listing that has Kadabras and Wartortles and Squirtles and Abras, and then it doesn't have Charmeleon, like, out of stock.
Yep. That is one thing that is frustrating.
That's really annoying. So like I'm a lot less prone to use as a buyer. I'm just less likely to click on it because, again, base set Charmeleon, it's somewhere between 99 cents and $400 because they've got everything from a Weedle to a Charizard in that same multivariate thing. So those are the cons. If it's a con from the buyer side, it's also a con from the seller side, because if it's a bad buyer experience, you're gonna miss some customers, or you're gonna like piss off some customers.
Yep.
Years ago, back before Pokemon had a category where you could do it, I tried it at one point and I did it for a little while. Because I used to sell like jungle, fossil, first edition commons and uncommons, and I think I did have to like skirt the rules a little bit and do a category that didn't make sense for Pokemon cards, but other people were doing it.
Yeah, I think everyone did it in like arts and hobbies or something like that.
And that's been back when listings were more expensive. So
Yeah.
one of my pros was like saving some money on them, but now it's like you get so many free listings that I think the way you're doing it is 100% the way to go. I don't really sell cards like that anymore, but I mean, I guess like right now I've got CGC 8.5, CGC 9, all commons and uncommons, first edition. I could do those in a multi listing, but individual listings for all is 100% the way to go. It's free listings. It's a better buyer experience. It's just more like obvious what's happening. Because if I lumped them all together, you're going to click into it and the one you want isn't going to be there, or you're going to see the prices from 10 to 50 and okay, I would pay 20, but I wouldn't pay 30.
Yep.
And you go see that mine's 30. Oh, well, that was a waste of time.
Exactly. I do wonder, I would never do it, but how would your sales compare if I took my entire eBay store and put it into one listing? Because you can have you can have 3 different drop downs. So like the first one could be the set, the next one could be the condition, and then the final one could be the actual card. I wonder how that would do.
Launch a second store. Run them side by side.
Just have like 2,000 listings in one.
The price is somewhere between 99 cents and $99,000. You're getting a base set Weedle or like Nick's entire No Damage Ninetales collection.
Oh man. But no, I'm glad you brought up the downsides to that, because I could not think of any downsides, but that's a good point there. So I'm definitely going to keep it up with the no variation listings myself. But the final question within this question from the same person, Evolved Collectibles, is a hot topic. Have you seen Rattle Pokemon's review of the first edition Logan Paul case? And if so, what are your thoughts? So I don't think at this point there is a single person who hasn't seen that video, at least one of the videos. I've watched all those videos myself. And before we get into this topic, Dan actually mentioned or wrote on our notes. I actually didn't know about it till I saw this little notes, but our big reveal of the first edition case that Logan Paul bought is going to be premiering tomorrow, probably before you even see this podcast. So
it might be after, so it'll be today when you're watching this podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, this is 2 hours in almost, so you're not going to see that, but like hopefully you're watching this right when it comes out, hot off the press. And then like as you're hearing us talk right now, you'll see the internet blow up with whether it was real or fake. So
I never really spent time looking into it when Mealy Pops and the other guy bought the case. So I really didn't know the whole backstory about it being listed on eBay. I was away working during that time when it was actually listed on eBay. So I didn't know about it then. Really didn't spend much time looking into it when I, like I said, Mealy Pops bought it and then Shine bought it from them. But then with Rattle's videos, I'm just basing my opinion pretty much exclusively off of what he said. I find it very, very hard for this case to be a legitimate factory sealed case. I think it's most likely going to be fake. I think I'll even go as far as saying it's not going to contain even unlimited base set boxes. I think all the value is going to be in that cardboard case. I think Rattle never really mentioned, he didn't think the stop tape was a big deal. But I think that's a pretty big deal. How the stop symbols are so much further apart, and the S is uppercase instead of lowercase, or the vice versa, and then not having the period. I think there's just too many inconsistencies there. Plus everything else that he said with the whole backstory and all that. But I'm really curious to know what's gonna come of this. It'll be an interesting video, to say the least.
Do you hope? So you think it's going to be fake? Do you hope it's going to be fake, or do you hope it would be real?
I would hope it's going to be real for Logan, Paul, Shine, and Michael's to kind of Pokeju, to kind of make them like where they don't get screwed over. But Mealy Pops and that other guy who I can't remember, I would almost like it to be fake, just to screw them two over.
So I think and hope it's going to be real. I opened a decent amount of base set unlimited, and there's just so many variants. They were printing so much of this stuff. It is insane. Billions and billions of cards. Obviously not billions and billions of base set first, but billions and billions and billions of base set. The case was the packaging of the packaging of the packaging of the end product. This was the end product. Well, not inside the plastic slab. The card was the end product. I don't have an empty pack wrapper near me. The pack wrapper was packaging. The box was packaging. And this was like third level packaging. For what was wholesale, WOTC sold this box for $300 approximately, probably. If distribution works similarly, they were probably wholesaling the boxes for 50, 60 bucks. Distributors were selling it for 80. Retail was 140. They were selling, I think retail on the packs was $299 back then.
I was going to say, yeah, I think it was even less than today.
So retail was like 110 instead of 144.
Yeah.
And so we're literally talking about third level packaging that nobody gave a shit about because the end product was the cards. A couple thousand cards were the end product. And this was third level packaging. And I didn't dive too much because it seems like Rattle covered a lot. The multi backstories doesn't really. I bought from some sketchy people. I used to buy from Craigslist a little bit, and people would like, I'd email them, and they'd. I don't remember specific instances, but they'd say this, and then I'd go there, and their kid would answer the door, and they'd say something else that didn't. People just don't have good memories, or they like try to make up stories that make things sound better or different. Or so the backstory thing I don't really care about. The barcode was the biggest thing for me. The barcode is, and I didn't take out my phone, I didn't scan them all, I didn't try them, but if the barcode doesn't jive with what the letters were, that's concerning. But I just feel like at the end of the day, nobody knows aside from BBCE, and he might have done some really reasonable things. He might have had a reference WOTC case. No idea what he did. And the videos didn't show any of that. The videos really got deeply speculating on some strange things that didn't seem too related to the authenticity of the case. So personally, I just think it's best for the people involved that it was real. It's best for the hobby if it's real, because like as far as validity to outside people, like I had some friends from high school that know that I'm doing this full time. They messaged me and they're like, hey, did you hear about the case? Like if next week the articles make the rounds that like this, oh, some guy bought some fake Pokemon cards for millions of dollars, it'll just like delegitimize to an extent the hobby. Especially people who buy sports cards for millions and millions of dollars, they're going to be that much less likely. And some people will think that's a good thing. Some people think that high prices are bad and Logan Paul's bad and everything should go away and be cheap and whatever. I guess that's a positive for those people. But to me, it's like, it's weird how much people love drama and how much people just want to see like a train wreck. It's like I'm not into those reality TV shows that are so common on TV where just everything's going haywire and crazy and it's scripted to be as obscene as possible. And I think that's just what people want. Like people just want.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And maybe like that's a smaller port. Some of them are 100% out there. I mean, I've seen a lot of that sentiment all over the internet. Maybe it's less, maybe that's like a vocal minority of people just wanting things to blow up to see the world burn. But yeah, to me, I hope it's real, and I think it's real. Not like I'm not 10,000% sure that it's real, nor am I 99% sure it's fake. I'm 50.0001 wild ass guessing that it's real. Not really. Part of it is like BBCE. They've made mistakes. They're tied in with PSA. They do the whole pack thing with PSA. Fake, or sorry, not fake, but resealed base first edition packs have been confirmed to come out of PSA authenticated slabs. It's not surprising. Thousands and thousands of iterations of the same thing. There's going to be some amount of failures. That's just a known thing. But he has experience with a lot of different wax sports, and how much of that, I mean, Pokemon stole the printing capacity in 99 from, like, they discontinued a lot of sports cards to print Pokemon cards. So it's like they were being printed in the same facilities on some of the same equipment. So his experience with like sports cards should translate to some extent, or could translate to some extent, into authenticating a sealed case of Pokemon. So I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm one thing I'm really interested in seeing the follow-up on too is like how the people that are so sure that it's fake, what do they say in their next videos? How do they follow up? Do they like grasp for conspiracy theories and dig in deeper? Or do they say like, I was wrong, or not I was wrong, but like I highlighted a bunch of evidence that showed it could have been fake. It was real, and it is, like, whether they're wrong or not, but I don't know. It'll be interesting either way.
It'll be interesting to see. It would be like if you could play out both scenarios. It'd be interesting to see how many more videos would pop up if it was confirmed fake versus confirmed real. There's going to be so many more videos if it's confirmed fake than if it's actually real. That'd be kind of funny if you could reverse roles.
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm super excited for that video. I cannot wait for it. And I think between what Rattle said in all of his videos, plus the fact that we haven't heard anything yet, I almost think that that's another aspect to why, or it being fake versus real. We would have heard something the second they opened it, I think, if it was real.
No.
You don't think so?
They've got all these eyes, they've got all this attention, build anticipation regardless of the outcome. Logan Paul, love him or hate him, he knows social media, and he knows how to like get attention and eyes. In the time that this has been up in the air, Yahoo's done articles, like so many articles have just spread and permeated to where like friends from high school are texting me about it. I've seen people on the forum, like they're just random people they would never talk about Pokemon are talking about it.
Like that one guy who disappeared from the forum for about a year and then came back to did you see the one Ethan replied to? 4-star TCG vote. But stupid. Someone like disappeared from the forum for like a year after his thread got locked about Logan Paul being involved with Pokemon, and then came back on to comment about how now it's okay to talk about Logan Paul, where back a year ago his thread got locked for it. And
I didn't see that. One thing too that I hope isn't the outcome, but like clearly in the teaser video, he was cutting the case open.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever assuming that was the base first edition case, because I heard talk about there being a shadowless case as well potentially.
Yeah, but why didn't we hear a single thing about that until now? No, those cases never existed. But there is not a chance.
Presuming that case that he was slicing open in the promo video, whether or not it's real, we no longer have a sealed base first edition case. So one interesting thing too, like part of me wanting it to be real is like it leads to the least issues and suffering of people, which some people want. So that's why some people want it to be fake. But there is an interesting dilemma if it's deemed real. Well, one, you're going to have like conspiracy theorists saying, well, did they open a box? Did they open a pack? Did they weigh all the packs? Well, maybe there was one legitimate box in there and they just happened to open the right one and the other 5 are all fake. Like, no matter what, I made a joke on the forum.
I saw that, yeah.
I said, like, unless they open and PSA grade every single card out of every single box, I'm never going to buy this from Logan Paul, as a joke. Because all these people chiming in that have I'm never a buyer for that. I'm never a buyer on a base first box. Neither are 99.99% of people talking about it. And, but that's what's going to happen. Like, if they open the box, take out all 6 boxes, verify them, weigh them, whatever, people are going to say, no, you had to open a box. If they open a box, weigh out, they're going to say, oh, no, you should have weighed the packs, verified. If they do that, you should have opened a pack. If they do that, you should have opened the other boxes.
Yep.
Like, no matter, certain people, and maybe it's a very, very small subset, certain people, unless you literally opened everything down to singles, they're going to say something silly about, oh.
What would you want to see happen? Would you be okay just opening the case, or would you want a box opened?
It's such a silly thing to even, because I'm not a buyer of any of this. When I buy WOTC boxes, like I've bought, not in 2022, but in 2021, I bought multiple WOTC boxes. And I'm pretty, like, I've opened dozens of boxes, never a case, but opened dozens of boxes. And when I get a box, it's like I'm 99% sure, but 5 figures is a lot of money. So I almost always, like, I crack it.
Yeah.
I crack it down to packs. I weigh them out. Okay, there's my 12 heavies. There's a couple borderline, whatever. If I were a buyer, which I never would have been, I would have wanted to buy 6 confirmed good base first edition boxes. I would have opened the case. I would have opened a box and weighed the packs. I wouldn't have had to open a pack too. I mean, I could have, it's so silly to even talk about because I'm not a buyer for that.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's like, even if it's real, it's a bit of a shame that I think the UPC thing alone, the barcode alone, it would have had to have been opened, but it's a shame. Like now it's not a sealed box. And then what do they do? Because Logan kind of paid, he paid like $1 million premium on it being a sealed case. He picked up 5 or 6 boxes for like 2.5 million.
I think it was right at 2 million he paid for those 6 boxes.
And then he just bought these 6 for 3.5.
Yeah.
And they're case fresh.
See, I don't think we wouldn't be able to afford this ever, but I can't see there being a premium on a sealed case versus a case that was opened. Like the boxes are going to be the same condition. They're all going to be case fresh, so I do think that deserves a premium. But if the case is opened or sealed, I don't think there's any premium to add to that.
To me,
that's myself.
To me, there's not. To you, there's not. But when it literally comes down, like they were talking about first one in the world, all this and that, and some of that was like used to discredit the fact that how could they authenticate it if none have ever? Well, at some point, one has to be the first one, right? Like anything that's ever been graded, there was a first one that was graded. One. Some of the old emails where he said, I wouldn't touch it because I don't know it.
Yeah.
A little bit concerning, but it's silly to me how demanding people get that are not affected in any way by this and how much they care about it, because nothing changes for me tomorrow, whether it's fake or real. I don't lose money. I don't make money. I am invested in it some for like entertainment, but I want it to be real. Like it's entertaining, but I don't want like the sad ending, the bad ending. It's just a crazy situation, and I don't know. People love drama though.
Oh yeah. That is 100%, because that is all we've been hearing lately is about that case. So it'll be interesting. I will definitely have my popcorn ready, and however long that video is, I am not going to be getting any work done. That's definitely going to be another one of those videos that I'm watching and listening versus just listening.
I'm probably re-saying things I've already said, but it's silly to me when people say this needs to happen for me to be happy that it's real.
Yeah, no. You're not, unless you're a potential buyer, nobody else cares.
Like, you don't matter. I don't matter.
Yeah.
What I demand doesn't matter. If at the end of the day, BBCE and Logan Paul and the people involved in the transaction are happy with it, like obviously they're never going to do this because they can milk it, they can get views, they can get clicks and money and ad revenue. But like if they were to come out with a statement tomorrow that literally says there's no video, there's no follow-up, the case, like the situation has been resolved to the satisfaction of all parties involved, and we will make no further comment on the contents of the case. Imagine the react. People are definitely a bit like entitled in this situation. Like people, how many, when's it gonna come out? They need to come out with this now. Like you're not entitled to know any of it, really. Like, I mean, he can share with us if he wants, but he doesn't really have to. And I don't know. It'll be funny if they open it and don't really get too deep into details. Well, it won't be funny because it'll just turn into conspiracy theory central. And
100%. Like if they open it and it's first edition boxes and then they say, okay, it's real.
Yeah,
there's going to be so many conspiracy theories.
There already are. They're like, there's already. Well, they didn't say this by this time, so it has to be this. And it's like, they know what they're doing. How much value, all the articles that were written, all the clicks that he's gotten and the people in between have gotten, how much is that attention worth? How much is that advertising worth? He probably got how many more million clicks on his energy drink video or whatever. People thinking that it was going to be that.
Speaking of the energy drink, I actually saw something on Facebook. Conspiracy theory. This was all planned to promote Logan Paul's energy drink.
Yeah. That's what they're going to open tomorrow. It'll be just like that. I've seen that. It's going to be a case of this energy drink, and
that would be so funny.
Yeah, I don't know,
but
I think it's real. I hope it's real.
We can wait and talk about this. This might be a good topic for next week, where we're so long in already. But if it is real, or no, if it's fake, what do you think is going to happen to pack grading? Do you think that'll affect it at all? I think that's going to have a huge effect. If it comes out to be the case is fake, I think it's going to have a big effect on graded packs.
I think it's less of an issue to me. More of an issue is a few years ago when a video came out of a cracked slab, because cases and packs are completely different. Because someone improperly authenticated a case, it doesn't make me think any differently of their ability to authenticate a pack.
Yeah, but we did a couple of years ago. We didn't know what a baseball card exchange. I can never remember the abbreviation.
BBC.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't know they were grading packs for PSA until this whole case scenario. So PSA making a mistake. Okay, we can get behind that, but this other company making a mistake where they've already made this huge mistake on this case, plus now we have emails saying that the owner of this company really doesn't know anything about Pokemon. I think that could have a big effect on the overall pack market.
Pack grading is pretty niche to begin with. I don't think it'll be a drastic thing. I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
It'll be fun.
So conversely, will packs go to the moon when it's a real case?
I don't think it would have that effect. It's either going to go down or remain steady.
How long are we at on your timer?
2 hours and 23 minutes.
Oof. New record? Maybe.
I think the Vegas one was still longer.
Oh.
Just by a little bit.
Fun day tomorrow.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sure we'll be texting back and forth.
Discords will be active. E4 will be active. I think some threads have already gotten locked on it.
Yeah, the poll did. Speaking of that, the poll thread on E4. Did you see Gary's comment about how when Logan released the teaser video, the percentage of people who said it was real doubled?
Yeah, I saw that.
I got a kick out of that one.
It was definitely edited in a way where it sounded like somebody yelled yes when the case was open, but
it was just edited in a way to build up the most anticipation.
And even if it wasn't, even if that was someone's initial reaction, it could just have been them seeing the top of a resealed box.
Yeah. Yep.
The base first was shrink wrap, but then you inspect it closer and it had issues. But we could speculate for another 10 hours until the thing went live, but we'll find out tomorrow.
Yes. Well, that's all I have for this one. Did you have any more topics you want to talk about?
No, I think that's plenty. We better stay under 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think that's good enough. But yeah, everyone who stuck around and watched the podcast, thank you for watching or listening, whatever you did. But as always, it was fun talking with you, Dan. Always look forward to these.
Yeah, likewise. We'll find out tomorrow what's going on.
Yes.
Well, today as you see this, we'll find out today, or we already found out. We'll catch you all later though.
Have a good one.